What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to One Soccer. I'm your host for today, Josh Deming, and the roster drop for our upcoming Concacaf Nations League semifinals. I gave it a quick scan just to see if Aiden Morris was on it. He was not. Feel pretty gutted, but let's break it down. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys. If you're just joining the stream, drop a like. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the roster, and we will take a look. But like I said, I haven't really looked yet. I just literally looked for Aiden's name, and he wasn't on there. And I really thought he was. I really did. I know how much Canada's been pushing. He's a player that we could absolutely use in the midfield. Would have helped really balance this team, and we would have stolen from the U.S. It's a win-win-win. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and this is a squad. But regardless, it's all right. There's gonna be more chances. He is young. He may want to just see what's gonna happen with the U.S. down the road. But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so I'll get into a couple comments first. See what you guys are saying. Alan tuning in from Hamilton. We got some Messi to Inter. Is this true? I mean, from what I've seen on Twitter, it looks very likely. Maybe the Apple subscriptions weren't on par and they needed a little boost. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like that's where he's going to go. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from today. Like I said, I saw Hamilton. I believe I see Winnipeg. There we go. We do. Fun stuff. But yeah, all right. Let's do this. All right. So the roster. My first glance at the roster. So, no surprise for the keepers. Orian, St. Clair, McGill. I mean, Crepeau obviously isn't at full health. I mean, I think Jonathan Steerwatch deserved a look, but, the dual national hunt, Tom McGill is a good pick. It's going to get some good experience coming into this camp. St. Clair and Orian is expected to start. For the defenders, Atakubi, it's good to see Derek Cornelius in there after picking up that injury. There was no real reports on how, at least ones that I saw, of how serious it was. Wheeler was talking about it a little bit yesterday that he may be ruled out, but wasn't 100% sure. And if he was, it'd be Hebert probably coming in. I don't see Hebert's name, so it does look like Cornelius is obviously good to go, which is great. Big fan of Derek's role with the national team right now. I think he's going to take a big step up the next probably few tournaments. I would like to see him start. I'm curious to see what will happen with Kamal, because I think those will probably be the battle for that left-hand side. Alistair Johnston, Scott Kennedy, Richie Larea, Kamal Miller, Steven Vittoria, and Dominic Zator. So maybe Corona Kielce knew that he was getting called up. I don't know 100% no, but obviously we thought there's maybe a loss in translation there. But looks like Zator could potentially feature at both tournaments. And Wheeler also indicated that despite Herman saying he wants to bring a young squad to the Gold Cup, it was said that the Canadian team wants to take a bulk of this Nations League roster. This is probably their best possible roster, aside from maybe a couple dual nationals maybe we could get. So it's good to hear that Canada wants to take a bulk of that team, which I would assume, and that's what Wheeler said as well, that it would probably be 15 guys, maybe something like that, to the Gold Cup, and then fill the rest of the roster with younger spots. So that's good to hear, because Canada wants to win both tournaments, and that's a good way to do it. But onto the midfield, we have Stephanie Stacchio, Atiba Hutchinson. Very beautiful moment. If you guys didn't see it, go check it out on Twitter. Atiba scoring a penalty in his final ever match for Besiktas. Fantastic. I believe he's the 5th most capped player in Besiktas history, so an incredible career he's had over in Turkey. I don't know how much longer he's going to go, but it's fantastic, and it'd be incredible to see him hopefully lift a trophy this summer to end a spectacular career. Kone Laturi's in there, which is good to see. I was hoping Laturi, who survived relegation, looked very dangerous after losing the first leg 2-0, but to come back, and Ross County is going to stay in the top flight in Scotland, which is good to see. Jonathan Azorio, David Wotherspoon's a bit of a surprise for me. I'm assuming if Aiden Morris was going to be called up to this squad, it would have seen David Wotherspoon miss out. I like Spoonie. I mean, he hasn't been playing a ton with St. Johnstone. I'm a little surprised by that, but a little experience, more attack-minded player. If Azorio's maybe not fully fit. On the attacking side, we have Buchanan. Cavallini makes his way back to the national team. David, Davies, Ouellet, and Laren. All right. So that's a pretty John Herdman squad. I don't think there's very many surprises. Ugbo obviously was left out in the attack, as well as Brim, who's been playing pretty well. But I mean, again, Brim's playing the second division in the Netherlands, so it's not like the highest level. Ugbo's playing League 1, but he's not scoring. But ultimately, they went with Cabellini. Watherspoon, like I said, is one that is a bit of a surprise for me. But other than that, it's pretty much locked on. So, all right, guys, let's get into the chat, see what you guys are saying. Give me a rating out of 10 on how confident you are that this squad can strike some silverware in the Nations League. I will start. I'm gonna put a 9.5. I have a 9.5%. 9.5 out of 10%. 95% confidence that we'll do something special. But Bob says he's tuning in from Delhi. Bob, if you are, just down the road from you. Moving to Delhi, actually, in October. So, fun stuff. Pretty much neighbors, Bob. Aiden Morris is not making or breaking anything. No, but Aiden Morris is a profile player that this national team and this program could desperately use. I don't want to just roll over not getting Aiden Morris, because I really do think it's important. I think that he could come in. He's a player in a position of need. And in my eyes, what I've watched from him, especially after learning that he's Canadian, is that he's just getting better and better. This is a very, very good season he's having so far. I've seen a few links to abroad. I don't know how much I'm going to read into those as of now, but he's definitely a player that I think has a bright future. And I don't want to pretend that I don't want him. I'm pretty bummed that he wasn't on the national team roster right here, but it's okay. Give it time. He is young. It's a dual national. It's a very difficult decision to make. But if Aiden's watching this, I want him to know how much that I hope we do get him one day. Hopefully Cornelius is healthy enough to play and start. I agree. Derek Cornelius has taken a big stride pretty much this past year. I think that he's ready to start for this national team. I know Kamal Miller. I mean, in my eyes, I feel like Kamal Miller is a little bit ahead of him just in terms of looking at through John Herdman's lens. But if it was me, I would start Derek Cornelius. I just think he's been that good. Now, I don't know, again, with the injury, maybe if he's not 100%, then maybe you don't start him. But my hope is that he's good to go, because he's been very, very good since moving over to basically Europe and as well as Sweden. Similar to Farsi. Farsi's a little bit different, though, because Farsi's battling. I mean, if you look at that right back, wing back position, he's battling Tejan Buchanan, he's battling Richie Larea, he's battling Alistair Johnston. Like, it's very difficult for him. He's still young. He knows that Algeria is an option as well. So Farsi makes a little bit more sense. Morris, again, because he's so young, you don't know what kind of player he's going to be in a year or two. I was just hoping that with the opportunity to maybe start, feature, and maybe even star this summer at the Gold Cup for Canada, I mean, he can maybe do that for the U.S. Obviously, that would cap time him there, but he'd be in the Nations League roster. He's just a player that could honestly really fight his way into not even just the national team squad, but starting for this Canada side. That's my opinion, at least. Like, I truly believe Morris is the most important dual national for us at the moment. And I'm really, really intrigued to see what's going to happen at the Gold Cup, because from what I've heard, the U.S. will probably do something similar to what they did in 2021. Send a squad, which we already seen for the Nations League, and then send probably like a B-ish squad to the Gold Cup. And Aiden Morris, by the way, he's playing in Major League Soccer. He would probably be a focal point of that squad. But so I'd say keep an eye on the Gold Cup. That might be an indication of where Aiden Morris's future lies, whether that's with Canada, the U.S. Maybe he'll wait still, because the U.S. do have the Olympics coming up. That could be a draw for him. I won't cap tie him, but that he could wait to see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. I was really high on the thought of getting him this window. Hey Josh, fantastic times ahead for Canadian soccer. You got that right. We have Women's World Cup coming up. We have the Concacaf Nations League. We have the Gold Cup. It's going to be a very, very fun summer. I love it. Derek Cornelius used to play striker. No Morris, no party. I know, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. This is still a very good squad. I'm still very confident. It was just, like I said, I got it in my mind. It's my own fault that I was pretty convinced that we were gonna get Morris this one, but you know, it's fine. I thought that was only for the Gold Cup. If you're talking about Morris, Morris was called up to for both preliminary rosters, for the Nations League and the Gold Cup, and what was reported was that he was offered a spot on this 23-man roster right here for the Nations League, and clearly he said no. He said, I don't know the details, but he probably said something along the lines of, I'm going to think about it. Maybe he's going to have a conversation with the U.S. coming up to the Gold Cup, with the Olympics and whatnot. I don't know, but not really a good sign. And like I said, I think the Gold Cup will be telling because, like I said, this is going to be an opportunity. You saw it in the last Gold Cup for the U.S. They played a ton of MLS-based players. A lot of them had big tournaments, went on to Europe, went on to make it to the national team. So it could be a perfect platform if Aiden Morris took a look at what happened in 2021 and some of those players that broke out and moved to Europe and got a national team. Like Matt Turner's a good example of one. I mean, Zimmerman and Robinson became starting center backs despite not getting moved. So the opportunity to the national team is there through a Gold Cup performance, and maybe Aiden Morris is taking a look at that. Isn't Wotherspoon a part of Unattached United right now? I mean, sort of. I mean, he finished up his very, very successful spell with his hometown club, St. Johnstone. He is unattached right now, but you know, it's not like he was unattached for a year. He was playing. It just, like I said, he wasn't getting the minutes that he used to. He's getting a little bit older. I don't know where he's going to go next. My gut would tell me somewhere in Scotland. Some club in the top flight will probably pick him up. But do you think Morris and Koleosho is not committing now? I think Koleosho is not going to commit to a national team for a while. My gut, again, it's just what I think. He's so young, man. He's so young. And if you saw him on the weekend come on for Espanyol, he does look like a player. And coming on like that, scoring in La Liga, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he's going to move somewhere else. Maybe he's going to try to find a move to Italy to really, you know, get close to that national team, that program there. But I still think Koleosho is a few years away from making a decision, similar to Daniel Jebison. You guys love Daniel Jebison talk. If you want to ask again, my opinion, I think that there's a good chance that he's going to commit at the Gold Cup this summer. I do. But it's because he played out his youth career basically with England. He probably had eyes on that U20 World Cup. He featured in it. He did not play at all, really. He did not get a ton of minutes. He didn't start a match. England crashed out pretty early. He's very, very, very far away from ever representing England at the national team level. I mean, he could wait a few years. You know, you never know what kind of player you're going to turn out to be. But I think after getting, you know, not having the tournament he was hoping for, the U20 World Cup, there's a chance at the Gold Cup. I mean, he was put on the preliminary roster a day later. You know, you put 2 and 2 together. I'm thinking that it could equal Daniel Jebison coming on, but I'm just guessing. And as for Morris, I don't know. Like I said, I thought this was a really good opportunity to get him in the roster with the Nations League. I mean, I'm sure John Herman pitched it. We know how good he is at recruiting dual nationals, but I'm sure he said, hey, man, this is the CONCACAF Nations League roster. This is our big dogs. We're going to win this tournament. We want you to play a part. You want to feature the Gold Cup? You can. We have the Copa America coming up, and we're obviously hosting a spot in the 2026 World Cup. So a lot of exciting things for Aiden Morris, but it's a tough decision. It's one of the most interesting and fascinating things around being a dual national is that there's options, and you don't know what type of player you could become. So it's fair to say that these players will wait. And I mean, like I said, I think Daniel Jebison, there's a good chance of the Gold Cup because he waited. I mean, he could have committed to Canada probably a year and a bit ago, but he probably wanted to wait and just see what type of player maybe these next 12 to 18 months proved for him. And unfortunately, he hasn't had the best club experience, I'd say, in the last little bit, but still very young, very raw, and definitely a welcome addition for Canada. But as for Morris, I'd say this isn't a great sign. We'll have to see. And Koleosho, like I said, is still probably a few years out. But I did ask you guys, what was your rating out of 10 on this roster? I said 9.5, even though now I'm thinking that's a little high. I did say in terms of how confident we are of winning the trophy, but I am disappointed Morris is in it, so I maybe did it a little too high. But Bob says a 7, 6.9. 8, think that they'll beat Panama. 8 as well. We'll beat Panama, but disappointed. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think Kolyosho would have been locked in this one. Like I said, I think he's still a few years away from making a decision. He's got every right for that. He's a ton of youth football to play in the next few years. He's not realistically, Kolyosho is at the moment is not probably good enough to play for Canada, US, or Italy. So, he's going to the Italian youth program right now. He'll probably play a few tournaments there, see how he develops, what kind of move he gets, if he can start at the professional level week in, week out, and then make a decision down the road. Morris was a little disappointed. New Delhi. Okay, Bob. We're not neighbors. 6 out of 10 would beat Panama, but not sure about the finals. Oh, come on, guys. We got to be confident. We got to be confident. We have every right to be confident. The last few times we met the U.S. or Mexico, we've got the better of them. I think with the coaching situation going on at the U.S., the fact that, Mexico is in their probably worst time in their history, just of several results and tournaments not going their way. I'm not taking Panama lightly too. That'll be difficult, but this is the most confident I've ever been in Canada doing something special at the Nations League. 2 matches away. We got a very, very strong squad, and it could be something special. Solid 8.5 to 9 for me. US versus Canada has to happen, or the rosters are assembled for nothing. I think Morris isn't joining us. He for sure makes the Gold Cup squad. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's for sure not joining us, but I do think that he will make the U.S. Gold Cup squad. So it's going to be tough. That's why I said the Gold Cup's going to be interesting. It's either I don't know. I don't see why Morris would reject this opportunity and then accept Canada's Gold Cup offer, because I do think you'll get the offer to go play for the U.S. But I could maybe see him saying no to both and just letting it go. Maybe it's, like I said, playing in the Olympics, which won't tie him, and then make a decision from there and see what happens the next 12 months or something like that. But I don't think this is a good sign, because like I said, I'm pretty confident the U.S. will offer him a spot. But maybe if he didn't like those conversations, that could open the door, but I don't know. Taylor says Cavallini is a major shock based on Gareth's comments yesterday. Yeah, Gareth said that the 4 strikers would be Larin, David, Hoylett, and who did he say? He said Brim. Wilson said Ugbo. I would have preferred, honestly, probably both over Cavallini, but I did also hear that this is kind of the last hurrah of the core group of guys that made it to the World Cup, their last opportunity to win something. So maybe, if you think of it that way, then Cavallini falls in that, Wotherspoons falls in that, Hutchinson falls in that. So if you hear those words, that makes a little bit more sense to me. But again, Brim was in excellent form. That is what you want for a national team. It's just, in all honesty, he's not playing at a high level. He's truly not. It is what it is. I think if he was playing in the Eredivisie, the top flight over there, I think then he's putting up those numbers. That's a different story. Ugbo has been starting towards the end of the season, but he's had a horrible campaign. Falling out of favor with the coach, having the late start when preseason began, getting the move when he obviously wanted it way earlier. He started behind the 8 ball the entire time, and it's just been a very frustrating. I don't think he's scored in 3-4 months. It's not great for him coming in. Cavallini can offer something off the bench. He's not going to start, but he could offer something off the bench late in the match. No, Marc-Anthony Kaye is a good eye. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, but again, that's one of the core guys I would assume would probably be in there as the last hurrah. But yeah, Marc-Anthony Kaye has not been good enough this season for TFC. I think anyone who's watched him can say that. I know that the TFC fans are not happy with him. I'm really happy Victor Leturi was given an opportunity. That's also a position of need. If Victor Leturi can take some big steps over the next few years, that's an important role. He's a true 6, someone that we need, and I think that could complement that 3-man midfield with Eustachio and Kone. I really like the looks of that. There's also no Matthew Chouanier, which is pretty disappointing for me. I was hoping to see him, but I honestly would probably put Chouanier in there over Wotherspoon. Just on form, and the fact that Chouanier is versatile. He can play pretty much right wing back, left wing back, center mid, cam, wherever you want to put him. And he's been playing so well with Montreal, but I think Chouanier will have a big role at the Gold Cup. But yeah, there you go. Adam says that. I think I would have too. Sorry, Spoonie. Like, nothing against Waterspoon. It's just like I said. I mean, he hasn't had the best season. He's slowing down. He's getting up there in age. He's not that same player he was when he helped St. Johnstone do the domestic cup double. I just like Chouanier's game so much right now, but I would love to see Chouanier start the Gold Cup, and I think he will. I do think there's a good opportunity. I think a player like him, Hebert, could come in to the Gold Cup and actually look for starting minutes, depending on who's there. But I assume Zator and Laturi will also be in the Gold Cup. Otherwise, it's a camp. Yeah, no, I think so too. I think Zator could have a big role at the Gold Cup, depending, especially if Alistair Johnston doesn't go. I think he's like the perfect Johnston replacement. And that back three on the outside right center back. I also, like I said, I also think Hebert could have a big role. There was no McNaughton, no Waterman as well. But like I said, if you ask me to put together a John Herdman like core group roster, this would be it, except I would put K in instead of Laturi. And that would basically be my John Herdman roster. Crepeau, obviously, but he's injured. So it's pretty close to like that core group of guys, giving them a last opportunity to win some silverware. So I do think the Gold Cup squad will be pretty excited, because it'll be a little different. Still a good core group of guys, but a little bit different. Yeah, and that's like that was my logic behind Waterspoon coming in. Even though like I said, I think Chouanier could do that role, but I don't know exactly where Osorio is at. I mean, obviously he's fit enough to be on this roster. Will he start? I don't know. Waterspoon can play in that 10 position as well, attacking 8, floating above the midfield 3. So, maybe there's an opportunity for him there, just that added depth, depending on how Osorio is looking. But if you're looking at that 3-man midfield, I doubt we're going to see it. But, like I said, that Laturi, Kone, Eustachio combo could be very intriguing. You could also see Hoylett drop into that hole, which he likes to do. Have Eustachio, Kone, Hoylett. Osorio could obviously go there as well. I really doubt Waterspoon will start, but again, options from the bench. Do you think Miguel has any shot of playing for Brighton next season? Sanchez is great. I doubt Miguel will start for Brighton, unfortunately. He did get a new contract, which was good. I would rather him get sent out on loan somewhere, because I think he's a third string keeper there. So it depends, but I don't think there's a chance that he would start. No. I give this roster a 9. This roster is talented and may even have the core players intact. Yeah. I think 9's fair. The only thing I don't like about this roster is the fact that my boy Aiden Morris isn't on it, which, like I said, it's pretty devastating, because I don't think it's good news with the Gold Cup coming up. If Aiden Morris doesn't play in the Gold Cup this year for the US, then I think his international future is wide open. But if he does, it's obviously he'd be captied and it's over. So, great to see they giving young aspiring talent like David and Davies a crack in the team. Yeah, young talent they are. If we don't win silverware this summer, I don't think we ever do it with this core. I mean, this is their best opportunity. Clearly, this is their best opportunity. We are 2 matches away. We have a game against Panama. I mean, still not a country to take lightly. They will be going for it as well, but I just think this team's good enough to do it. And then we're going up against the U.S. and Mexico. And like I said, with the coaches changes and everything that's going on with the U.S., and if you really dig deep into that roster, they have a ton of talented players, because they are talented players, but they are not playing well at all. So many players that are out of form, that they're big guns. They're Christian Pulisic, they're Gio Reyna's. They don't feature week in, week out. I mean, Pulisic's supposed to be their star man, and he's had a dreadful campaign. He needs to obviously move on. You look at our guys. Let me just try to put together a quick starting 11 here. Borjan starts week in, week out. Serial winner in Serbia. Right wing back Buchanan. I mean, if he's fully fit, obviously when he is fully fit, he starts for Club Brugge. Alistair Johnston's been fantastic for Celtic. Starts. Steven Vittoria scored 7 goals and helped Chavez avoid relegation in their first campaign back up in the top flight in Portugal. He's been fantastic. Derek Cornelius has been unbelievable since joining Malmo in Sweden. I mean, if you go Kamal Miller there as well, I mean, he's starting a lot, at least in MLS. But again, I would go Cornelius. Wingback is Davies. His fitness is a little uncertain, but obviously he's a starter player on one of the best clubs in the world. Your midfield, you got Eustachio just winning silverware with Porto. Kone, he starts most of the time, but he's still playing at a good level. And then that third-man midfield is a little up in the air. It could be Hoylett, who is back to fitness. It could be Azorio, who we don't know. It could also be Laturi, which I wouldn't mind, but I don't know if he'd be given that opportunity. It could also be Hutchinson. I don't think it should be, but it also could be. And then your front two is Larin, who's scored 8 goals in La Liga in half a season with them. And, of course, Jonathan David, who just put up 24. So our guys are doing it. You know what I mean? Like they're our core 11-ish. 11 to 15 are doing it. They're playing. When you look at the U.S. and their guys, they're just, a lot of them aren't featuring or have been relegated or are struggling. So I don't know. Like I'm just talking about the perspective of winning a silverware this summer, this tournament. And I don't think any U.S. fans would say, oh yeah, like, I mean, they could be confident, but I don't think they'd be like, this is exactly where we want our players. This is the form we want our players in going into this tournament. We want the interim coach, or our third interim coach, or whatever it is coming in, the assistant to the assistant coach. So I just meant like they're not in the best mindset. In Mexico, obviously, I mean, they have a new manager. Things could be maybe turning around for them, but it's been a dreadful 18 months for them in terms of getting the results they're used to. So long story short, I think Canada's got a good chance. I think the Gold Cup roster will consist of younger players such as Morris, Chouanier, and Brim. It definitely will. Like Wheeler said, I bet you probably 12 to 15 guys from this roster will be on it, which is your core. But then, yeah, like, I mean, a Jaden Nelson, Chouanier, Brim, I agree with all that. I don't know about Aiden Morris. Like I said, maybe Daniel Jebison, Russell Rowe, those kind of guys will be on the Gold Cup roster. Sirois probably as well, with probably St. Clair and McGill would be my guess for the keepers. No Borjan. But like I said, Aiden Morris is definitely up in the air. Will a strong Nations League or Gold Cup showing help narrow down David's options this summer? I doubt it. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just did a fun video on my thoughts on Jonathan David. If you haven't checked it out, go to the One Soccer YouTube channel. I just gave you my opinion on where I think he should go. I really don't know where David's going to go. There's been a lot of tweets over the last 6 months from Fabrizio, who just says tons of interest. Clubs want him, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's bids coming, but no real indication as to where he's going to go. The only thing we can go off of is the fact that he said he wants to go to the Prem, and he can't see himself going anywhere else. I think if we have a really good showing at the Nations League, if we win it, I would highly doubt David or Davies will feature. Well, we already know Davies isn't featuring the Gold Cup, but I would doubt that David would feature either, because I really think he needs to prioritize a transfer this summer. He's got 2 matches coming up to win a trophy, first one in 23 years, and then, get your transfer, take the summer off, be ready for your new club. I just don't know where he's going. I have a sneaky suspicion, which is, again, this is just made up by my mind, but Tottenham could make sense, especially if Harry Kane leaves. I just think it makes too much sense. I think they would get a big chunk of change if Kane goes to Madrid. He seems like a type of player that they would go for, and just going to come to that side, completely change the way that they play. I think David could be a decent fit. It gets him his Premier League move. Yes, he doesn't have European football, but Tottenham should be a team competing maybe for the top 4, if not 5, 6. So I don't know. I'm very curious. It's going to be the story of the summer for me as to where Jonathan David's going to go. Maybe we can get Jake Morris. Maybe. I don't know if Jake Morris is good enough for the national team, unfortunately, right now, but give us your thoughts on the goalie situation. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think Borjan is going to start in the Nations League, and the other 2 will obviously just be there. And then come Gold Cup, I think it's going to be St. Clair's tournament with probably Sirois and McGill as the other 2. That's what my gut tells me. If you guys are just joining us, be sure to drop a like on the stream. Let me know your thoughts on the roster. Obviously, big news was that Chouanier K didn't make the roster. I thought it was interesting that Wotherspoon did. No Aiden Morris. Cavallini's back in. A lot of storylines around this side, but this is definitely one storyline as well. Want Jebison to commit to Canada. Like I said, man, this is just a gut. This is a gut opinion. I really think that there's a chance now. I've said for years that I think Jebison will wait because he was so young. Like, he scored in the Premier League at such a young age. It got the attention, especially here in Canada. He looked like he could be a big baller one day. I wouldn't say his last few years were overly successful in terms of making his way into a starting 11, featuring week in, week out, getting that experience. But he's still so young and betting on himself, and there was no real reason to rush a choice between Canada or England, even though, like I said, he's not going to be able to represent England at the national team level. But the youth level, he did it. He did his World Cup. Didn't start a single match. I think that might rub him the wrong way, and it was a disappointing tournament for England. Now it's like, hey, a day later, do you want to come to the Gold Cup this summer? You want to make your decision? And I don't know. I think it could be there. I really do. With Luton Town now in the Premier League, will there be more eyes on Peppel? I have no idea. I don't think he will be at Luton Town for very long. I would assume he probably is going to get loaned, but honestly, probably just sold. I just don't think he's got a future there. It's kind of what I'm kind of thinking and leaning towards. I'd like to see him maybe get a loan back to like League 2, League 1, but didn't have a great experience there. It might be best. I don't know. I don't know what the best option for him is. Get maybe like a team in Belgium. Maybe. Maybe the Netherlands. I don't know. Evan's pretty upfront about it. Peppel has no eyes on him. Yeah. Why is Davies not playing the Gold Cup? Level of competition too low? No, I mean Davies is coming off of an injury. It was reported that he never truly recovered from the injury he had like while going to the World Cup. I think he needs the rest. I truthfully do. I think this is an opportunity. Like I said, this is 2 games away from winning something and doing something very, very special with the national team, and then take the summer off, recover, get back to full fitness so you're good to go next season. You still got some work to do. Not that you're going to get replaced at Bayern, but you do have a new manager, a new system. You have Guerrero maybe coming in. But honestly, like, he's got an injury history. He needs to get fully fit. He's going to want to win this trophy, but this is 2 games to the final. 2 games to win a trophy at the Nations League. It would be 6 at the Gold Cup. And to me, like I said, it makes sense. Same way it would make sense for Jonathan David not to feature the Gold Cup. You're 2 matches away from winning something here. And after that, you need to focus on getting your transfer. It's supposed to have been happening for a few years now. Ever since you won the title, there's been those rumors, those links, but nothing really concrete has ever happened and came from it. So there has to be an opportunity this summer for him to really push and get that deal done. Alistair playing in Europe is great for the defense, but we need more defenders playing at a high level. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like I said, I mean, it's what I really like about Cornelius' game right now. He's playing at a high, his game itself has taken a step up. He's playing very well. He's very comfortable. I wouldn't say Sweden is the highest of levels in Europe, no, but at least he's getting there. Vittoria's playing at a decent level, Johnson as well. So those are my 3 starters. But I'm looking at the squad, like, I don't know who would be ready for a step. Like, maybe if Kamal would have got that move, he could have went somewhere, but I don't know if it would have been a league anywhere else than like a Scotland, maybe like, again, a Belgium, like a Turkey, maybe a league like that. Definitely a bit of a concern, but the way that they're playing makes me pretty comfortable, and we're starting to get a little bit more depth throughout that center back position. No David for the Gold Cup, really? No Davies, really? Why not? Davies, like I just said, injury, and David probably, he could feature. I don't know, but I'm thinking there's probably a better chance he doesn't, because he needs to get that move. To be honest, Gold Cup isn't really that important to countries in CONCACAF. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it a lot of times. A lot of like Mexico, US, they've sent kind of like B to B plus squads in the past. Even in the last 2021 edition for Canada, like Davies didn't feature. Well, he was going to come, but he got injured. David didn't feature. Some players just want the summer off to battle injuries. And I think Davies is the perfect example of that. You need to get him fully fit. If that report is true that I read is the fact that, going to the World Cup, he had that knock, he played through it because it's a World Cup, and he never was really able to get bounced back from it. He gets an injury later in the year. He needs that rest. He's not going to give up this opportunity right now if he's fit to win a trophy, but after that, it's probably good for him just to, take a month and a bit off and just get back to full fitness. David needs his move, okay? He can't stick around another season in Ligue 1. He needs a move. The Gold Cup will always be special for Canadian fans because of the runs we've had recently, but the Nations League is so much more important this season. It is. And like I said, and it's the same way the U.S. just did it. It's a perfect example. In 2021, they sent their best squad, their A team. Every player they wanted into that squad was in. They went on, they won it. And I don't think a single player, maybe one or two from that Nations League squad was on the Gold Cup squad. Canada's will be different. Like I said, the core will be there and young pieces will be built around that. But I mean, because of how big of impacts players like David and Davies are, like it's tough to call if those two aren't going, but everyone else is, for example, like it's still hard to call Canada that's their A team because those two players are so important to the national team. Same as Eustachio, Larin. Like if those guys aren't there, it's hard to argue that's one of Canada's best, but it's still exciting despite them not being there. Like, I mean, now Larin's future is also up in the air, so maybe it would suck if he didn't feature, but I would like to see maybe Larin go to the Gold Cup, Hoylett as well, those kind of guys, and then David gets his move and Davies recovers. But Gold Cup is definitely special, and it also gives opportunities for players to take a big step. Kamal Miller had a breakout tournament. Crépeau was fantastic. Alistair Johnson was a rock. Like, there will be other stories like that at this upcoming Gold Cup, whether Davies, David, and those kind of guys are there or not. Same as Daniel Jebison. Maybe he gets an opportunity, scores that goal, commits. I think Herdman keeping Ugbo out is controversial. I mean, I think given the level, where he's playing, I don't think Canada has a luxury of leaving out players playing in a top 5 league. Like, I do take that point. But like I said, this has also been a season to forget for Ugbo. I personally would have included him over Cavallini, for example. But, Cavallini is definitely one of Herdman's guys. I mean, if you look at the last 4 months, Cavallini scored more goals if you want to look at it that way. But he also offers something very different in a gritty semifinal, final matchup. If you need, a big body in there for a late goal, aerial presence, or someone to hold up the ball late in the game and do a little Concacaf, cheathousery. Like, I mean, he's the kind of guy you want to do it. So, Matthew Chouanier would have been a great addition to this particular roster. Could have a big Gold Cup. I agree. I think he will have a big Gold Cup. What do you think about Laturi? Ross County isn't the best team. They're not, but Laturi's had a pretty good season. I think he's done well to establish himself as a starter in Europe this season. I think he's a young, pretty still raw player, hoping he can have another. I'm very glad he didn't go down because I like the fact that he's playing right now. And if he stays at Ross County, he'll hopefully build on this season, then maybe get another transfer down the road. But like I said, he's a true out-and-out 6, good defensively, good passer of the ball. He could combine well with Eustachio and Kone. Like, that is an ideal 3-man midfield for me. Looking at like a true 6, like a Laturi, allowing Eustachio to play a little bit further, and then Kone a little bit further than that. I think they could really balance each other out. And it's cool because, like Evan says, Laturi is a former CPL player with potential to be a decent midfielder. He wouldn't ever be Eustachio, but his full potential, he could be a starter in the future. I agree. Ugbo is a striker who can't score. Not including him here isn't controversial. I wouldn't say he can't score. Ugbo had a good goal. He had a very good goal scoring season in Belgium. And then he got his loan move to Troyes, where he showed he was a goal scorer. It's just this season was, like I said, been disastrous. He got the late start after not securing the move on time, wasn't able to fight his way into the roster, which was, I thought, a little bit surprising. He was given an opportunity when he came in. He just wasn't fit, wasn't ready, and then he just basically sat on the bench for the majority of the season. Sometimes didn't even make the roster. I don't know. It was just really bad season for him. I'm hoping he will get a move. I just don't know where. I'd almost want to say go back to, I'd almost want to say go back to Belgium because he did find success there, but he's got to be very particular what team to join. Maybe the championship, but that's also a very cutthroat division. Very hard to crack it there. Not that he can't, but again, the situation has to be right. Otherwise, I think the championship could eat him up. What can Hutchinson at this age bring to the table other than leadership? For me, I mean, Canada's been known to bring a player who has not been starting, let alone featuring at all, and that was Daniel Henry for a long period of time, and sometimes Henry would come in and feature. Very controversial within the fan group. I was never a fan of Henry on the pitch, but what Henry brought was very important because he's such a good guy. Everyone adores Daniel Henry. He's a leader, and I think Atiba can offer more than Henry could on the pitch, but Atiba is your leader. And if this is, like, I don't know what his international future is going to be. If this is going to be the last tournament, I doubt he features at the Gold Cup, for example, but this could be it. I mean, again, you're 2 matches away. I don't know how, like, Hutchinson in my eyes won't start a game, but he's such an intelligent player that he could come on in the last 20 minutes of a game to either help see out a match or, you know, try to come in and do a job one way, shape, or form if they're looking for a goal. It's just, he's got the experience to do it for like 20 or so minutes at the end of a game, and he's a leader. He's one of the greatest Canadians to ever put on the Maple Leaf, and I do think he deserves his last opportunity if it is indeed his last opportunity. But like I said, I think he can offer, yes, the leadership, inspiration, that type of thing, but he can definitely do a job to come on because he just got that intelligence. He's got that ability to be able to do something for like 20 or so minutes. But it is tough because he has not featured really at all for Besiktas in the last 6 months. Dom Zator, though, yeah, it's good to see Zator in there. I made a joke that, Krona Kielce tweeted out that he was on the squad, but again, it looked like there was a loss in translation that it was actually just them announcing he was on the preliminary roster, but maybe they knew. Maybe they knew he was coming to the Nations League. I don't know, but Krona Kielce, you know, you look wise now. No one's thinking that you didn't know what you're talking about, but yeah, it's pretty cool for Zator as well. Great story going back over to Poland in a league in a language he's comfortable with, starting at right back, center back. I think he's like the perfect backup for an Alistair Johnston. Johnston doesn't go to the Gold Cup this tournament. I think there's a great opportunity Zator can start on the outside right center back. Very excited for him. If Aiden Morris joins, do you think he's ahead of Laturi? I do. I think of Aiden Morris, and I've tried to make this pretty clear, but you know, it's going to sound even sadder now, but I think if Aiden Morris commits this program, he's a starter. He's starter material. I think you could slot him in there with Eustachio and Kone, and that's a core midfield 3 for probably close to a decade. I think he's got that type of potential, and I just don't think there's another profile quite like his. Laturi could be that option. I think he's got some work to do still, but I think Aiden Morris, and I think that's why Canada's pushing for him so hard. He just has that ability. He's like, I don't know. I've been watching pretty much every Columbus game since he was announced that he's eligible for Canada. Knew a little bit about him before, but obviously didn't keep like a very special eye. And he just looks so good. He just looks so good on the ball. He's always looking forward, making that progressive pass. I just think he would really be that perfect fit for this national team, which is why I'm a little devastated that he's not on here, but that's okay. Just tuned in, says Joel, Laturi and Wotherspoon over Chouanier is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, my thought on it is this is the last hurrah with the core that went to the World Cup. And like I said, also because of the uncertainty of Osorio, Wotherspoon could be that kind of like for like an opportunity for him maybe to come on later in the game, that creative 10. I think Laturi deserves to be there over Chouanier because they're different profiles. Like if your Samuel Piet, for example, was there, like that's a profile that it could be him or Laturi. I would have brought Laturi over Chouanier because of the position, but I would have brought Chouanier over Wotherspoon, if that makes sense. Why is Nations League more important? This is within the most popular question I've got, guys. So it's a good question. It's a fair question. The Nations League, I wouldn't say the Nations League is more important than the Gold Cup. Yes, the Gold Cup has history. It's a longer tournament. It'll get you 6 matches till you win. But I think the genius of the Nations League is because in past seasons, you'd see a B team, C team for some countries, US, Mexico, Canada, whatever it may be. They don't take it overly, not that they don't take it overly seriously, but some players just want the summer off. They're going for transfers. They don't want to interrupt training camp. They might be fighting for a position. It's more difficult to get these players into a tournament like this for a 6-match tournament. However, like I said, the beautiful thing about the Nations League is you're 2 matches away. And I said Davies and David are perfect examples. These guys want to play for Canada. There's no questioning that they don't want to play the Gold Cup, but there could be other priorities this summer. Davies, as we know, has already been ruled out, but he gets to come to this Nations League 2 matches away from winning a trophy. Perfect. That is not a ton of stress on the body. He can play those 2 games, hopefully find success, and now he got the rest of the summer off to try to relax, get back to full fitness so he's ready to go for Bayern. And in the case of Jonathan David, same story. A player you need at the Nations League to obviously probably push on to win it. Plays his 2 matches, hopefully, finds the trophy, and then he gets to focus on getting that transfer because he's desperate. Jonathan David wants to move. He deserves to move, and it's going to take probably a lot to get some type of deal done because he's such an expensive player. And that way he can focus on getting that move, getting into training camp, getting used to his new environment, and ready to go instead of having a Gold Cup kind of in the way, really cutting into that time. That is what the logic is. It's easier to get your best squad to the Nations League than it is the Gold Cup. So you might as well prioritize it. Go all in like the US did 2 seasons ago. And then like you saw, they gave an all MLS squad for the Gold Cup. Canada's a little bit different. I think, like I said, this is basically their best squad. I think you're going to lose some players for the Gold Cup. For example, just looking at this list, like Borjan, maybe Johnston, Vittoria, Hutchinson, Wotherspoon, Cavallini, probably David and Davies, maybe Laren again because of a move. But the rest of them will probably all go, and then you just build that with some of the youngsters like a Chouanier, Russell Rowe, maybe Daniel Jebison, those kind of guys. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe even Ike Ugbo. But again, Ike Ugbo needs to find a move. Toile was relegated. I don't know exactly where he's going to go, but he needs to find a move as well, and he's just not on form. So he was linked to Rangers, as Evan just says here. I think that would be a good move for him. I do really like that. A team that you go to a league where, it is a 2-club league. He would probably score a lot of goals. If you're a national team fan, why wouldn't you want Ike Ugbo to go into a situation that could set him up to, yes, run over some teams, but you might be that focal point up front. He's a good finisher. I do like the Rangers move. If it was up to me, that's where I'd hope he goes. Because like I said, the championship, albeit I think it's a much better league than Scotland, just because obviously it's more balanced. It's just, it's cutthroat. It's long. It's 46 games. It can eat you up and spit you out. And I just would rather him go to a situation where he can rediscover his goal scoring touch. He can just kind of enjoy his football again. And I think Rangers would give him that. Henry needs to find a club first. I don't think we're going to see Henry again in the national team. Maybe a farewell friendly. I'm curious to see what is next for him. I don't think he can cut it in MLS anymore. I don't know how he'd hold up in the Canadian Premier League, but I don't know what his future has in store. My question is, do we question Herdman, sack him if we don't win either the Nations League or the Gold Cup? I don't think so. I don't think it's a question. I think Herdman will be here until 2026 and then probably assess his options after that. He's got a lot of exciting things coming up. Nations League, Gold Cup, Copa America. He's got this core. I don't think there's any questioning it. I would be disappointed, yes, if we don't win one of the tournaments this summer, but I think he's here for the long term. The players know it. He knows it, and I think the fans should hopefully know it as well. I like the standards that you're talking about, though. We do want to win, but I don't think Herman's in any danger whatsoever of losing his job, despite whatever happens. Chouanier can do it. He can play it all. CM, Cam, DM, winger, even fullback. He's the Canada's James Milner. He's very versatile. John Herdman does love that. That's why I said Gold Cup is an opportunity for him, man. A big opportunity for Matthew Chouanier. Like I said, I think he deserved to be in this roster. I do. I can see, like I said, I can see why maybe he was left out just for the profile of like a Wotherspoon. But yeah, I think he could be in for a big tournament. And those are like the types of stories I was talking about at the Gold Cup squad. There will be a few players who will have breakout campaigns. Maybe it's a Lucas McNaughton, who's playing really well with Nashville right now. Comes in, takes a big step up at the Gold Cup. Could be also a Waterman. Could be a Hebert, even though he's playing really well at St. Louis, but he could be in for a big tournament. It could be Daniel Jebison if he commits, goes up front, plays alongside Kyle Aaron, scores a few goals. Could be a Ryan Raposo, another good shout here. I think Ryan Raposo has a really good shot at the Gold Cup squad. Keep an eye on him tonight, guys. Whitecaps, CF Montreal, Canadian Championship final. Ryan Raposo has been doing very well. But do you think Russell Rowe could back up David and Laren as well? I think down the line for sure. And I do think Russell Rowe will have a good opportunity of making the Gold Cup squad. Victoria may be 36, but he's coming off a career year. Yeah, no, I mean, that's why I said, like, when I'm looking at our squad, our guys are starting 11, and then, like, you know, the players 12 to 13, 14 are all playing and playing pretty well in Europe. Like, starting, getting minutes, scoring goals, defending well. I mean, we have the more informed squad and compared to the other three in the Nations League semifinals, in my opinion. I don't really think that's up for debate. I mean, I know that there's a lot of Mexican players obviously starting and playing well in Liga MX, but I just think we're doing it at a higher level. And a lot of the U.S. players, I mean, they do have players who are playing well, like Balogun, who just came in, but he's also brand new to the team. So you can't, I don't think it's fair to expect that he's going to come in and do like an insane amount of work, I guess, in the first little bit, because like, look at Antonio, clearly one of the best players on the Jamaica side. He took a little bit to get going. But yeah, I mean, Balogun's doing it. I mean, Adams has had some injuries. I mean, he's not even on the roster, I don't think. Weston just got relegated, and those Leeds fans were horrible to him. Pulisic's not playing. Gio has done well at Dortmund, but I mean, he's basically a bench player, where he's going to be looked at different. Aronson's been horrible at Leeds. Robinson's had a great year at Fulham. Turner's a backup keeper. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of good players in the U.S. squad. It's just, like I said, I don't know if they're in the best form right now, and that's important. We don't have a like for like replacement for Victoria. Who do I see as Victoria's replacement? I would say Cornelius. Cornelius is playing in a back three right now for Malmo. I think hopefully down the line, I think he's got the IQ to be able to play in that back three. He's doing it week in, week out. I think Kennedy's speed is much more valuable, obviously, outside. Like, I think you could put together a pretty decent back three of Alistair Johnson on the outside right, Cornelius through the middle. He's playing it. He's doing it well. And then Kennedy on the outside left, one of the faster center backs you're going to find. It could also be Kamal Miller on the outside left. It could even be Hebert on the outside left, or Waterman on the outside left. Like, there's a ton of options. But I think Cornelius, I've talked him up for a while now. I think that he needs to be the guy going forward. I'd like to see him on the outside left, starting with Victoria and Miller for me. But going forward, I think he should slide in the middle with, again, pick any of those guys as your outside left. You also have like a Lucas McNaughton, who's playing really well in Nashville, who could be like a backup in that central center back position. But I'm not 100% sure who's going to fully take it over one day, but my gut would tell me it will be Cornelius. Where do you think Borjan will play next season? That's a great question. I honestly have no idea. I did see that. There's reports that Red Star want to sign a younger keeper to replace Borjan. I've really no idea. I haven't given it a ton of thought. Off the top of my head, maybe he goes back to Bulgaria. Luda Goretz is who he played for last time. Let me just take a quick peek. He was on loan at Corona Kielce. So in 2017, he's obviously at Luda Goretz in Bulgaria for a long time. Or not really a long time. He's only there for 2 years. But he had 2 spells there. Reninsky Niche, where Stefan Mitrovic was. I don't know. I could say maybe going back somewhere. Like if he stays in Serbia, like a Reninsky Niche could be a good option. He could go to Poland where he was at Korona Kielce. Got the connection there with Zator. Maybe goes to Turkey. Turkey's always an interesting bet. That's a good question, but I really have no idea. Is there an Aiden Morris update? There's not. You just hear Josh's opinion, and Josh's opinion is, I think he's just taking his time, and I think that the Gold Cup will be telling. He's either gonna say, "All right, I'm American. I want to play for the U.S. I don't care how far away I am from, a World Cup spot one day, but I will play at this Gold Cup, and I will probably be a decent, maybe starter at it." Or he'll take his time, play maybe the Olympics, and then make his decision after that because that doesn't cap tie him. I don't see a scenario as to why he would reject the Nations League and then accept Canada's Gold Cup squad. So like I said, my opinion is I don't think it's looking good for Canada immediately, like the next few months or so. But who knows? Maybe long term, he doesn't make a decision at all this summer. And he says, "I want to think about it. Let me get back to you." So I know it's a tough decision. Can only make it once. What's your preferred starting 11 for the young Gold Cup squad? That's a fun exercise. Let's do it very quickly. I'll give you my starting 11, my preferred starting 11 for the Nations League. Both of them are going to be the 3-5-2 because I think that's the way forward for this national team. So it'll be Borjan, and this is the Nations League. Borjan at goal, right wing back Buchanan. The 3 center backs from right to left is Johnston, Victoria, Cornelius, as long as he's fit. If not, Miller. Left wing back Davies. The 3 center mids. I'm torn because I don't know. I would say maybe Eustachio, Kone, and probably Hoylett because I don't know if they would start Laturi, and I don't know if Osorio's fit. So Eustachio is kind of your 6, Kone your 8, Hoylett your 10, and then Laren and David up front. For the Nations League, I'm going to say St. Clair's the starter. Wing back, I'm going to say Richie Larea. I don't know if Buchanan's going to go. The 3 center backs, I'm going to say Zator on the outside right. McGraw as your starting central center back. Dual Nat coming in. He just go check out his Instagram. Just put a nice little picture up with the Canada flag. Outside left, I'd probably say Kamal Miller. Left wing back, maybe a Atakubi. I don't know if he's going to go or not. If not, maybe like a Raposo gets an opportunity. The 3-man midfield, I think Kone will be there. I'd say Laturi's got an opportunity to start, and Chouanier. I like it. Again, Laturi, your 6. Chouanier, Kone, kind of your dual 8s. And then the 2 strikers, I would say if Laren goes, maybe Laren and Ugbo. If not, maybe Ugbo and Russell Rowe or Jebison. I don't know. That's kind of my way too early prediction because I have no idea who the team's going to be. I doubt Corbiano will be at the Gold Cup squad. Again, he just hasn't been able to do it. He's been on 4 clubs in the last 2 seasons. He was on loan at MK Dons. Didn't do that well. Or no, he's on loan at Sheffield Wednesday. Didn't do that well. Had a decent start to the second season with second half of the season with MK Dons. Then he went on loan to Blackpool, had a good start. Surprised that they ended that loan, and then he went to Arminia Bielefeld, and it's just the last 20 minutes of games not really accomplishing much. So been a pretty rough few years with some small good moments, but I don't think Corbiano will be on the Gold Cup squad. I don't think he deserves to be. I think he needs to find an opportunity where I think he should just maybe move permanently from Wolves. He's so far away from being the Wolves roster that I think he needs to find an opportunity where he can just go start, have a good, good season or 2. Whether that's, again, could be a mid-table team in Belgium, the Netherlands, maybe League One, even though he struggled there. Like, it's hard to tell. I don't know, man. St. Clair. I think the Gold Cup will be St. Clair's tournament for sure. The same way that the 2021 Gold Cup was Crépeau's tournament, I think St. Clair deserves this. Yes, he's a regular on the national team, but he's never really been given like a tournament or given a stretch of games. So I think he deserves it, and I think that he should take it. I think Jay Nelson will be at the Gold Cup for sure. I definitely do. Yeah, some of you guys think St. Clair will as well. I just think it's his tournament, man. I truthfully do. Yeah, McGill, again, it's a good dual nat to get. There's nothing wrong with it. He's in the Brighton system. Like, he's their third string keeper. Maybe he gets a loan move out. Maybe he doesn't, but it's it's worth getting. Like I said, I think it'll be St. Clair, Sirois, and McGill for the 3 keepers. But all right, our last one of the day. Daniel just saw this. I am deeply disappointed not to see Aiden Morris, and also Daniel, the bonus one. Why in the world is Cavallini here? So I'll give you my last thoughts, guys, before we wrap this up. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Drop a like if you haven't done so yet. Hopefully you enjoyed this stream. But yeah, my final thoughts on this roster is this is a John Herman roster who he's maybe rewarding some players for their time getting to the World Cup, that experience, that core group. I do think it's a very good roster. There's a few spots I would have liked to see potentially changed. Like I said, I think Chouanier deserved a shout. I wish Morris was there, but nothing you can do about it. Probably would have put Ugbo or even Brim over Cavallini, but at the end of the day, there's the core starters and those guys from 12 to 15, and the other guys just kind of build out the rest of the team. It's a strong squad. It's a squad that I think can go on and win the Nations League this year. I truthfully do. And I'm happy with it. And I'm excited to see Victor Loturi get the call. I'm excited for Zator. I'm glad that Cornelius, despite what happened, hopefully will be fit to start. It's a good squad, and it can definitely do some damage. And can be just excited to see the Gold Cup squad as well, because there'll be a lot of youngsters who will be given a good opportunity, guys. But that is all for today. Can't wait. Hopefully we'll be doing watch-alongs on all the matches for Canada this summer. Get some good previews and 5 takeaways videos and all that good stuff out. So hopefully you guys will enjoy all that. It should be a very, very fun summer with the Nations League, Gold Cup, and the Women's World Cup, guys. So appreciate you guys tuning in for me for an hour plus. Drop a like on your way out. Subscribe if you're new, and enjoy the Canadian Championship final tonight. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers, friends.